Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining in for this webinar on CA's Beyond Auditing and Taxation. And we have four esteemed speakers from different fields of private equity, venture capital, investment banking, and management consulting. And we are going to discuss everything right from their journeys of getting into these companies, preparing for the interviews, what are the exit opportunities, how does a typical day look like in these companies, and whether CAs can get into these roles. That's like a common question which a lot of people ask. And since we have four CAs who have made it, so I think it's the best to hear it from all of them. Thank you so much, Simran, Rahul, Shreyansh, and Naman for taking out time. It's an absolute honor to host all of you today.
Thanks, Kushal. Thanks for
Kushal.
having us.
Thanks, Kushal.
Perfect. Let's start off with a quick round of
Pleasure.
introduction, guys. Maybe just to keep it more lighthearted, I don't want all of you just to give a resume-oriented interview, not the ones which you told to your bosses when you were applying in these companies. I would also want you to tell something which is not there in your resume after your introduction is over. So let's start with Simran, then Rahul, Shreyansh, and then Naman, if that is fine. This is the order I can see on my screen, that's why.
Sure. Okay, hi everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in at 10 a.m. on a Sunday. I'm sure this is high effort for everybody here. I'm Simran. I finished my CA in a batch of May 2018. I did my articleship with PwC. After CA, I worked with Nestle for about a year. And then I went to IIM Ahmedabad for my MBA. At IIM Ahmedabad, I interned with P&G in their brands division. Because at that point, I didn't want to do finance or consulting or anything. I wanted to do marketing. And after graduating, I decided to just do consulting. And currently, I'm a senior associate at Bain and Company. Something outside of my resume. Well, I really like adventure sports. In the last 1 year, I've done snorkeling. I've done skydiving. And I was on Ferrari World, which is, I don't know, the world's biggest roller coaster or something like that. So yeah, more of that in 2024, I hope.
Oh, wow, that's very adventurous. I'm quite scared of all these sports, but yeah. Cool, Rahul, let's go ahead with you.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. My name is Rahul. I'm a chartered accountant. I cleared my CA in 2019. I did my articleship with Deloitte and Audit, and post my completion of CA, I joined Deloitte in the consulting department. I did consulting for 2 years. Post that, I joined Spark Capital, which is a mid-market investment bank. It's been more than 2 years here as well. So yeah, I focus on technology and business services as a sector. That's the resume intro. Apart from that, I think, hey, I really love driving a lot. So yeah, I just go on drives whenever I can. And of course, on weekends, I generally take out some time for, spending with friends and families and, go out partying over there. So yeah, that's good.
Do you want to mention who do you go on drives with?
No, I think, I mean, just friends, yeah. Nobody else. I mean, I stay in Bangalore. Right now, my family's back in Jaipur. So, I mean,
Sure.
friends.
I'm just kidding. I'm just pulling your leg. Cool, Shreyansh. I think I can give a better intro of Shreyansh, but yeah, take a Shreyansh, you go ahead.
No, I would like to do that for myself. No, so I think before that, first of all, I'd like to really congratulate those who have just, finished their CA final exams. I think I remember those few weeks were just so tough, and I still cherish that void that you had after the last exam and not having to open your books, etc. So I think you guys like really deserve a lot of applause. Going back to the introduction, maybe I'll talk about outside of my CV later, but I'm born and brought up in a very small town of Rajasthan called Sumerpur. I've done most of my schooling from there. Luckily got decent marks in my class 12 to be able to get into DU. So completed my 3 years of undergrad from Hansraj College. By that time, I had also cleared my CA inter and one level of CFA. And then I moved to Bombay to pursue my CA articleship. So worked 2 years with Deloitte in the stat audit team. And then I moved to Aditya Birla Group, worked with their corporate strategy and business development team for a year as a part of my industry training. And again, luckily got CA into the first shot, and by that time I'd also cleared all the levels of CFA. So that way it positioned me well for at least getting shortlist initially, etc. So as a part of first job, I got into Deutsche Bank, worked with the investment banking team, and during that time got introduced to private equity ecosystem, met a lot of people, spoke to quite a few guys. Samara happened to me. I've been working with Samara Capital for almost a year now. I focus on more of mid-market buyout opportunities for private equity investments in India. I think not on my CV. I think overall, at the outside, this journey might look like a lot planned, but there were a lot of imperfections, right? I think after class 10th, I went to Kota, stayed there for a month, was very keen to join science, but then came back. It was not my cup of tea. So that's where first change happened. I was not sure whether I had to do CA when I got into college. I thought, let's just explore college. Maybe I'll do an MBA. Maybe I'll take a placement after my college. So that was one. After my 2 years at Deloitte, I wanted to do a dummy articleship because I did not prepare a lot for my CA final. So I thought I'll prepare everything in a year, etc. But then this opportunity at the Birla Group happened. At one point, I was trying to, I had planned for 1 year of study, but then just took a plunge for 3 months of leave in CA finals. I almost got into Aditya Birla Ventures, but then they found a superstar which they could not say no. I also was keen to work in consulting, appeared for interviews in Bain, BCG, McKinsey, everything. So yes, I think that's been my journey. A lot of to and fro's, but right now feel good, quite an adventurous one. Yeah.
Right. So, guys, I think he's taunting me because I got into Aditya Birla Ventures, and because of me, he didn't get there. I think he had better opportunities, so I think it's
Yeah, sure.
forte as well. Apart from that, I think one quick thing, because before we go to Naman's introduction, is that Shreyansh has been like an all-rounder. Okay, so we used to be in the same hostel called RVG Educational Foundation in Andheri. Even Naman is from the same hostel, by the way. And Shreyansh was basically an all-rounder because CS usually we don't build applications, right? हम लोग app वगैरह कुछ बना नहीं सकते. This guy had made an application of RVG students जहाँ पे everything, all the notices कि okay कौन सा event आने वाला है, कौन से मतलब आपको अगर लीव पे जाना है तो हॉस्टल में लीव कैसे अप्लाई करना है, ऑल ऑफ दैट ही हैड डन एंड ऑटोमेटेड थ्रू दैट एप्लीकेशन इटसेल्फ. And he was also awarded as the student of the year. In our hostel there are around 500-600 students. Every year one student gets an award of student of the year, so he was also an awardee of the student of the year. So he's being very modest, and he's like one of the overachievers I know in my network as well. So
Thanks, Kushal.
just thought I'll mention this. So Naman, I think we'll go to your intro as well.
No, great to meet you, Shansh. I think we are meeting for the first time. I think I'm a
Yeah.
batch. I think couple or 2-3 batch senior than yours, and good to know that RVG has reached there. So, yeah, about me. Hi everyone. Good morning, and congrats and on people who have cleared chartered accountancy. So about me, I cleared C in May 2018 and also done 2 levels of CFA. I started my journey with investment banking at O3 Capital, and I wanted to get to the private side of things. Like I did, a lot of public equity before that, but I was very sure that I wanted to do private equity. So obviously, IB or consulting is generally preferred to be that mean to an end. So did that O3 Capital as soon as I qualified, and then went joined a private equity called Amicus Capital Partners in Bangalore in 2019, and spent more than a year there. Closed few deals in D2C space, etc. And post that, I moved to early side of investing. Here at Amicus, it was more like Series A, B. But then I moved to seed stage, and they joined Waterbridge Ventures, which was Delhi based, and then spent more than a year there. And now I'm with Escape Velocity, which is another seed stage fund, but this is where I'm like a founding team member. So it's been about 2 years I've joined Escape Velocity. Done like 15 to 20 deals in my journey. And like the reason being choosing seed and what I do outside work also is I like socializing, I like exploring and talking to new people, learning via people, etc. So my job being a venture capitalist allows me to be on that learning via people journey, and keep meeting new faces, new talent, and with different ideas. And yeah, it's been quite fun. So yeah, that's
Yeah, the latter part, which is more interesting, something not in your resume. Maybe you can tell all your mischievous things of RVG hostel in this answer.
yeah. I was just about to be kicked out. In fact, my friends were kicked out I was
Okay.
lucky I moved out before that happened. But yeah, our warden Sharma ji was pretty strict.
Hmm.
And I don't know, we all were very, very mischievous. I don't know what the
Yeah.
follow-on batches were like, and if Sharma ji is still there. But guys, RVG was such a memory. Like even if I'm visiting Andheri, I will make sure I go there, and there's a Bonvita shop right next
Yeah.
to.
Yeah.
I make sure I go to both of the places.
Right.
So yeah, but outside work, I really enjoy partying, traveling, playing poker, and uh, sports, everything. Like I love
Hmm.
football, watching, playing, etc. So
Yeah. So actually, guys, so about Naman, right? I think so. Shreyans, when I mentioned all-rounder, he's more like an all-rounder in that phase where he wants to do everything like in a very systematic manner, focused manner. About Naman, he's also an all-rounder in the sense that ऐसा नहीं है कि पढ़ाई करेगा. Like he's an All India rank 6. Naman, you are an All India rank 6, right? So he has got All India rank 6, and still like he is one of those persons कि ऐसा नहीं है कि मतलब जो बोलते हैं ना लोग कि rankers हमेशा पढ़ाई करते हैं and all of that. He is the perfect opposite of that. If you meet him, that you will feel कि हाँ यार मतलब ऐसे बंदे को देख के लगता है कि हाँ मतलब सब लोग कैसे मैनेज करना, parties, pokers, पढ़ाई, academics, work, everything like a systematic way of balancing everything. That is something which we need to learn from him, I think. So kudos to you for that.
that's what I want to be remembered for, and thank
Yeah.
you so much for that question. But yeah, this
Yeah.
is very important, I think. Yeah.
By the way, guys, anyone here chat box में डाल सकते हो? Anyone here who's from RVG hostel by any chance? I don't think so. मतलब वो थोड़ा तो बहुत niche हो जाएगा. Oh, okay, we have few people from RVG hostel. Madhav is there. Adil is there. Keshav, Trish. Oh wow, we have good people from RVG. I think Simran is not going to like this. She's mentioned RVG nepotism going on, but I think we'll soon change the topic. Don't worry, Simran.
No, it's all good fun. I actually didn't know that this kind of hostel existed, but yeah, like I've met a couple of people from there as well. So
Yeah. No, it's a good fun. Like it's for CA students only. Before we start the panel discussion, guys, I just wanted to take a quick poll. I just wanted to understand how many of you have given your November 2023 CA finals exams. Although I know that I had marked it in a manner where mostly you people will apply, but there's a poll in front of you. We just want to know whether you have given your CA finals exam in November 2023. And if you can just vote and let us know this kind of number, so we'll also try to ensure that we are catering and we are covering more topics for that segment of audience. So I hope everyone is able to vote here, all the audience. Shab, maybe once that is done, just let us know in terms of what the results are in terms of percentages. So we'll be able to like drive our conversation in that manner.
Yeah, sure.
Cool. So what's the poll result, Shab? Like I'm not able to see the result here. What's the final answer? Cool. Okay. So we have 63% of them saying they are students. Okay. 37% are not November 23 CFA students. All right. So that helps us a lot. So there are people from diverse backgrounds also, guys. I mean, CMA final, CA inter and all of that. So I think we'll keep it quite generic and focused for everyone here as well. So let's start off. Let's start off with a very simple question. What do you guys do on a regular basis? Again, we'll start off with Simran, then Rahul, Shreyansh and Naman. So what we want to understand is तुम्हारा work profile क्या होता है? And what exactly is the role or job of a consultant, PE associate, investment banking associate, and a VC associate as well? And then maybe we can discuss into how did you get into that? Cool. So
yeah,
Simran, you can start off.
sure.
Yeah.
So guys, I think this is a big question that everybody asks me, like, what do consultants really do, right? I'm sure you've seen memes about it. But so to be honest, what we do on a daily basis, it's very incremental. Like I'll give you a broad overview of how it actually works. Usually we have a client which has a particular problem. It could be something like we want to increase our top line by 3 times in the next, say, 10 years. Or it could be that our costs are really high. We want to optimize for costs over the next 5 years. So it's a time-bound target that they give us. And what we do is we lay out a very broad level strategy for how we're going to achieve it, and then deep dive into specifics of the levers that will help us achieve that. So our day-to-day is a very, very broken down unit of the broader ambition, and everything that we do aligns to helping the client achieve their ambition, right? So if you ask me, like the mundane side of your everyday, it is usually we talk to a lot of experts in the field, because obviously the internal expertise is also complemented by industry experts. We crazy amounts of Excels and PPTs. And I'll tell you what, at Bain, the number of times I have heard we want a CA on our case is insane. And the case could be, it could be steel manufacturing, it could be AI, it could be whatever, but CAs do really, really, really well in consulting because you're very detail oriented, which is important. In fact, I got initial feedback that, you are too detail oriented, because in CAs you tie up every number, right? And that doesn't work in consult. It's very broad. It's more broad than that. But they love chartered accountants on any sort of cases. This is the feedback I've gotten. I've done like 10 cases by now. Every single person says CAs are amazing because they're so good at the Excel. They're so good at kind of synthesizing large amounts of data, which you end up doing even in consulting. But the challenge in consulting, or what's different in consulting, is you take that data, but you present it in a way that any audience can consume it, right? Like the end output is always on slides. It's always PowerPoint. That is something I think CA is they do struggle with it a little bit. But yeah, so we translate that amount of data crunching, those insights from various sources. It could be secondary sources. We have access to like Euromonitor and, a lot of these paid sources, synthesize all of it and then present it to the client in a very, what does all of this data mean for your business? What does it mean for the decisions you're going to take? What does it mean for the implementation that we're going to do? And yeah, so we are the bridge that translates the raw data into insights and then communicates that with client and aligns it with their business goals. I'm really sorry if this also came across as really high level, but yeah.
No, this was very helpful. Simran, one quick question here. Do you see there is a shift or change happening in the industry where nowadays CAs are preferred in management consulting? Have you seen that trend?
Absolutely. Not just management consulting. So in Bain, how it works is on cases you have so many consultants that could be staffed, right? So most managers will do a background check on the consultant before they staff them on your case. And at that point, if you're a CA, trust me, your odds are better to get onto a case. And that case has nothing to do with finance, by the way. Because they've seen that we learn really fast, no matter what domain we're given. And also, like, I'm so sorry, there are no engineers here. I can say it. Engineers are lazy, okay? So compared to that, I think CAs, we get commended for like our work ethic, which does set us apart. And yeah, like I think CAs have really really good kind of a scope over here.
Right.
Even in B schools, rather, nowadays, CAs are massively preferred. So.
Right. If I can, so this is getting recorded. So if I can trim this part, and if I upload it on Instagram Reel, it can go viral, and all the engineers would be like, "Oh my God, lazy bol diya hai."
But they are very good at, like, if you have to finish a hard job in the shortest amount of time, you give it to an engineer. That's also true. They are lazy, but they're very, because I know at MBA I met all of these engineers who would just chill the whole year, but then one day before they start, and then even in accounting they used to talk. So they're lazy, but they're good at their job. CAs are more like we put in the hours. See, I have now made it balanced. I'm safe.
Right.
She's covering. Yes, I am covering.
Kalpesh is saying she's covering. So Kalpesh, I'm not going to put this part. I'm just going to put the first first 30 seconds. Cool, Simran. So that was helpful. Rahul, maybe we'll go ahead with you. And,
yeah. So quite opposite to Simran's role, this role of investment banking is actually more towards finance-oriented role. So I would say like 70 to 80% of the people should have knowledge of finance, right? So I'll just start off with what does an investment bank do, right? To help you guys understand, how does this work? So you would have seen, right, when you want to get a house on rent or purchase. So there is a broker always in between, would act as an intermediary between the buyer and seller and take brokerage. So that's what an investment banker is. The only difference is here we help founders or the management of the company to monetize or get funding from a investor. So, and in return we take some brokerage from them, or it's called fees generally in our case. So yeah, that's what we do. And this could be in any form, equity, debt, right? And it could be in the form of a primary funding or a secondary funding. Secondary funding where the management is sharing, selling up their shares itself. Primary would involve, infusing more capital into the company. So yeah, that's what the investment banking role is all about. As an associate, your typical role would include, interacting with the founders, understanding their business, then translating it into a document or a pitch deck or a PPT to explain it to investors how this company is working, what are its operations, how does this generate money, what is their business model looking like, and it's generally supported by a Excel, which is generally called a financial model, in which we detail out how the revenue or profit of this company has been in the past and how do we see it growing into the future, so that they can have an insight and they can make an informed decision whether they want to really invest into this company or this company would generate some money for them or not. So yeah, that's what it looks like. Apart from this, on a deal, you will also have to work towards and understand the valuation, exact valuation that the company can get. And apart from that, you will also have to find the right, investor suit who can actually invest in that company, interact with those investors, pitch the company to them, coordinate the entire process of the fundraising between different parties. So yeah, it has a lot of learning into it. That's why I like it. And when you are generally not on a deal, you would also look out for assets in the market, go on, talk to normally the investors, PE, VCs, what are they looking at, what's hot in the market, try to get that insight and bring it into your business. So I mean, that's what the entire investment banking role is about.
Right, got it. In this particular case, so you're also, let's say, when you pitch to the investors and when you also make all the pitch decks and presentations, so are you the ones who determine the valuation, or is it like, how does that happen?
See, generally it depends on case to case. Majority of the cases we do not go and determine a valuation, but a lot of investors come to us and ask us, what is the founder's expectation looking like.
Hmm.
So we generally give them a guidance. We help them through market multiples. What are the multiples in the market looking like, and give them a guidance. This is what even our founder is looking at, and beyond this or below this is something which will not be acceptable or something like that. So we generally do not go ahead with a specific amount, but we do give ranges in terms of multiples.
Got it, makes sense.
Yeah.
Cool, Shreyansh, we'll go ahead with you.
Sure. So just to set the context, I think a very good part about a private equity fund is that these are like very lean structures, right? Typical private equity fund would have 10 to 20 people in the investment team. So if you're working on a deal or you cover a sector, you'd be one of only 3 or 4 people, right? So yeah, essentially, even an associate would be doing everything that is required to be done to to get an investment. What does a private equity fund do? It's essentially you take money from your LPs and try to generate alpha. We typically look at 25 to 30% IRR over a 4 to 5 years of period. So basically, private equity funds look at private space. They try to find secular themes, try to find companies where they can make that threshold sort of returns. I'll maybe try to break down how a typical day would look like, right? So every fund has investment thesis. They like certain sectors, they dislike certain sectors. So it starts with understanding that industry, especially in a buyout fund like Samara Capital. Since you take majority shareholding, you control the board, so you can't just go wrong with the industry. So we do a lot of work on industry, trying to see how that industry is played out globally, how it's playing out in India, what works, what doesn't work well. So the work is a mix of a lot of research, a lot of desktop research. You read a lot of reports, so you read a lot of case studies, and combining this with speaking to a lot of experts, both internally as well as using expert network of the fund, etc. So that's on the industry part, where you try to solve the industry on what exactly will work. And then you have to evaluate a lot of investment opportunities that come in your way. So whenever an investment opportunity in form of a private company comes into our way, first part is to get in details about all the information that we have about the company, right? You do a lot of number crunching. You understand the financial performance of the company historically, who is the management, how they have been doing, what are the future prospects of that company. And once that level is passed, you decide whether you want to meet the management, whether you want to understand more about their journey, etc. So that's where you meet the management, you pose a lot of questions, and you try to see where I can take this company next 5 years. What sort of value we can generate, and that's where we also try to figure out what's the right price for this asset. This involves a lot of financial modeling, a lot of valuation exercise, etc. So that's where you decide, okay, this is the number that I'm ready to pay, and then this entire deal cycle starts happening, where you do a lot of due diligence, and in a typical buyout, you also try to look for new management, etc. So I think that's typically deal cycle, and it generally ends with getting involved with the portfolio companies. You work very closely with them, try to drive their value, do a monthly review, annual review, etc. So I think it's pretty much a very comprehensive journey of getting into deciding at what industry you want to get in, then identifying right asset, being a part of their growth journey, and eventually exiting. And as I mentioned initially, right, it's a very flat organization, so an associate would generally be pretty much involved everywhere. And if I would force rank the roles that you play, number one is research, definitely. You do a lot of desktop research and combining this with speaking to a lot of people. Number two has to be Excel, where you do a lot of number crunching in terms of analyzing historical information, doing modeling, valuations. And number three, a bit of PowerPoint, where if you want to, present some findings to a wider group or your investors. So that's not a very large part of your job, but then I think these three are the major roles that you play in private equity.
Thanks for summing that up. Yeah, Rahul.
Shreyansh, just one question. I mean, I was struggling with this when I had joined. I mean, when I graduated as a CA, right? I think I want you and Naman to also cover this for everyone who has joined in, right? What's actually a difference between a PE and a VC, and how do you decide whether you want to join a PE or whether you want to join a VC? Because I mean, that's really interesting because both the roles have different requirements, I think.
Sure. Maybe I'll go first, and Naman, you can definitely. So I think major difference is the stage of investment. Venture capital gets into a company very early, versus a private equity would generally look at reasonably profitable company, positive cash flows, etc. I think that's one of the major roles. And in terms of what work you do, venture capital would do a lot of bet on industry, because companies would have very limited history of performance. So you take a lot of bet on the industry performance and the management, and you back the promoters. Versus in private equity, we have a lot of historical information, a lot of history behind the company. So and then of course we invest in more in secular sectors, versus a venture capital which would look at maybe more emerging sectors. So I think that's typical difference. And how do you decide? Honestly, I mean, I was open to both because it was too early for me. I just didn't know. I went into whatever happened to me first. So yeah, I think major difference is basically betting on industry versus betting on company.
Sure. So let me start with this, and then I can tell you how my day looks like. So yeah, I think how Shreyan said, for us, venture capital, it's about betting on the founder and about the space they are in. We look that the space should be huge, and it should be new, because we see, along with crystal ball gazing, as he also mentioned, it's a lot of risk taking. It is also about trend identification, that you need to know that what is the trend for which the time has come. So it's very founder driven. It's very early in the stage. We have very limited data to underwrite. So it's not about Excel. It's very versatile, and it's mainly about people. You know which founder is uh, who is leaving, maybe say an academy and starting a new edtech business. You never know. It's your job to know it, and it could be any source, but it's, you talk to people, you have to know it first before the other fund knows. So yeah, and you have to be likable. Those are the skills you need. It's more about the soft skills. You have to be likable within your peer-to-peer investor industry, in the founder industry, as a fund in general. You have to be supportive, and you have to be cool, which is the new trend these days. And yeah, it's about being the 2M friends. Versus in PE, it's quite different. Like in VC, you can see 5 deals a day, which is fine because you generally have to glance through a deck and their idea. But in PE, it takes a lot of time evaluating individual deals, because it's been years of data and performance. You can see year-on-year trends. You can ask them which SKU is selling well. While in VC, we are just prototyping an SKU, right? So that's the vast difference. I've seen both sides. Every side has its own fun and nuances. But what depends on your extrovertedness and your soft skills is what one should pick the industry. from. And having said that, I will like quickly transition to what my day looks like. Maybe you have got some flavor of it in how I've been dealing, but uh, now at Escape Velocity, I look at sourcing, which is mostly the prime job of anyone who is not a partner at a fund. So because their prime job becomes raising funds, so from LPs. But for us, for me also, my job is to source the best deals in the market, uh, the most extraordinary talented founders who we think has the best founder market fit. So, and which fits, this is one leg where the founder quality is extraordinary, exceptional. And the second is it should fit into our thesis. Our thesis is around founder also, what kind of founders we like. Let's say we like betting into 2x, 3x founders. Maybe we're not into betting into younger founders, but we can bet on a young founder, uh, given there's one particular space we think that young founders can do better in that space, etc. So it is matching that founder quality with our fund thesis. And it's not just founder thesis, but it's also sector specific thesis. That maybe, let's say in our fund, this is a true story, that we are very focused on cross border. Like if Indian founders are solving global problems, that is where we get more excited about. Like if you are targeting US first, we will be more interested than someone who is being India first. So that's my prime job, finding the founders. How do I do that? Is like keeping my ears close to the ground. Um, LinkedIn, peer-to-peer network, founder network, attending parties, events, and yeah. So, and it's like a flywheel. If you know about two founders who are starting up, maybe people will come and tell you about five other founders will start up. So if you just keep knowing stuff, you'll get to know stuff. And then second part becomes approaching them at the earliest. And there is to be a way to approach them also. Um, approach them at the earliest with the right way. Generally, the warm connects works best. So if you know of someone who knows them, who's worked closely with them, etc., just try reaching to that source. So that's one, and then getting on a call, moving fast. So then comes the next stage. First is getting them on a call. The second is doing my diligence, which is supposed to be the main job of an investor, but sadly it is not. But yeah, then comes the diligence, which I enjoy the most. So yeah, see if there is a market out there. Uh, there has to be a uniqueness in what the founder has started to solve for, because generally we have seen that spaces become a duopoly, and however early we come to get an exit, there has to be like a unicorn kind of status for us to take the kind of exit we really come in for. So the kind of risk we take, we want like big exits. So there has to be like uniqueness. There has to be um, founders' ability to attract talent. Uh, the space will be huge. Like people say, it's okay, it's $2 billion. No, it has to be like huge, $10 billion. That even if you occupy like 5% of that market, you can be $1 billion company and you can be a unicorn. So huge space, new space, and the timing has to be opportune. Like we keep on asking why now. Like there's nothing which is changed in the last 2 years. Then why now? That is not working in 2 years. Why today? So that comes in the diligence. Some companies will require like technical diligence. So we do that. And I'm not talking about like financial diligence or legal diligence, which we anyway hire like EYs of the world to undertake that we do, but that's later stage. That's only after we have given a term sheet to them. But before term sheet comes like detailed calls with founders and customers, their buyers, whoever we do. And then let's say then comes our legal work, which is, let's say, occupies an hour of a day, which is if we have given them a term sheet, then drafting term sheet, negotiating terms with them. They want different sets of rights. So we become lawyer for that hour of the day. And then post that comes the portfolio management phase, which is, I think, the most important when we think from because our fiduciary duty is to our investors who have invested money in our fund. So to be just to that fiduciary duty. The most important is manage that portfolio, because that's gonna be for 6-7 years, and get the right exit you need. So build a rapport with the founder, be helpful, whatever help they need, be in terms of hiring, market landscaping, or etc. We just be there with the founder. We keep doing monthly cadence with them, keep visiting their offices, sometimes take interviews for them, with them. And they also sometimes need to know what competitor is doing, something they can do better. Sometimes they just need to use as a soundboards, like, just listen to this idea. We're like, tell it to us, right? So that is very important. And then there are next rounds. So when there is an up round or next round, you need to be again very closely associate with them to get your rights intact, see your rights are not getting weaned away, etc. So those four things I'd say is the key part of any be it analyst. So the good thing we see is a partner is also an analyst, and like an analyst is also a partner. Everyone takes decisions, and you have to move fast. I remember we have given a term sheet in like 3 days also. We have spent the whole nights on that company, but we know it was time sensitive. We have rolled out a term sheet in like 3 days of more than $1 million. So yeah.
Wow. I think all these 350 people are very impressed by the VC role in like as compared to other roles because VC, you have made it sound very cool. And I think the summary of Raman's answer is that you all should start partying. Guys, like the more you party, the more deals you will get and the
Yes.
better you'll be able to perform.
This I can 100% vouch.
Right. Cool. That was very helpful, Naman. Thanks for the detailed insight. From what I understand from the two of you, Shreyansh and Naman, if I summarize, so private equity would be more on the growth side stage where the deals would be of higher ticket size, around $50 million, $100 million, etc. VC would be, guys, more like an early stage investing where you invest around $500,000, $1 million, depending on which VC you're joining in. And I think more due diligence would be required in the private equity stage because the ticket sizes are higher. Unlike a VC where I've also worked in, where of course, like as Naman mentioned, you can also sign a deal in 3 days or 7 days. We had signed a deal in 7 days because that was very time sensitive. So that is something which happens in private equity. You can never do that. Like you can never do a deal in 3 days, 7 days. That is something which is not going to happen at all. So that's a quick summary. Let's move on to the main hot topic as well. How did you guys get into all these things, and how can people get into all these domains or departments? So again, we can start off with Simran. Maybe we can touch upon the opportunities which people can find. How can they find these opportunities? And secondly, about the interview preparation things, or maybe how did you tackle the interviews? That will be very helpful for all of us to understand.
Sure. So for management consulting, at least when I finished my CA in 2018, most of these firms were not hiring CAs directly, right? An MBA was kind of required to get into the BC. And I'm going to restrict myself to McKinsey, BCG, and Bain here because that's what I'm most familiar with. However, now that's not the case. At my point, at my time, BCG used to do this contract thing with you where you're not really like a employee, you're a contract employee, and then 3-4 years later you can get on roll. Today, even Bain, we directly roll out an application form to the CAs of the last qualified attempt. So very soon you're going to see Bain also roll out, the November 2023 CAs can all apply directly without doing an MBA. The route I took was obviously I did my MBA. And honestly, I think that is one of the easiest ways to get into management consult. Easiest, it's hard to get into the B schools that they visit for sure. But once you are in that B school, the interview stress is the lowest when you go, because usually you have like, an hour of interviews, right? That's about it. Whereas when you apply laterally, or if you apply because they have a time crunch, right? So they need to come on that particular day when the placement happens, and they need to see all of these candidates. They are very high hiring targets. So you only end up getting like an hour per candidate to interview them. But if you apply like the off-campus route, right, or even for CAs, how it works is you could have interviews on multiple days, and it could go on for months, right? There you can expect as high as like 4 rounds, 5 rounds, with different. So you could start with like a manager. You could work your way up to a partner with each preceding round. With each incremental round, right? And consulting interviews are obviously they're case solving problems. So like, for example, it's just a one-liner. They'll tell you our client is like in the steel industry and they're like facing declining profits. Or our client is a PE fund and they want to invest in, say, Saudi Arabia, and this is the sector they're looking at. Tell us about the attractiveness of the sector. And the interesting thing is you obviously can't know everything about every sector. So what you heavily index on is like your first principle thinking. Like how can you think the most logical, obvious things in the most structured manner? Because consulting is about breaking down, like I said, it's about breaking down really big problems into small manageable units. So they more than anything test your ability to look at the big picture, not get overwhelmed by it, and narrow it down to something specific and solvable. Which is the focus of most management interviews. Consulting will obviously, you will have your normal HR interviews as well. They would really like to see if you're a personality fit. I've seen people at Bain get rejected because they could be smart, they could have like ranks, they could be amazing, but if they're not a personality fit to Bain, it generally doesn't work out because you end up spending like a lot of hours, right, with your colleagues and spend more time with them sometimes than you do with like friends and family. So it becomes very important to them that you're nice or you're fun or you're like you are an energy giver, you bring energy to the room and you're not like a complainer. So I think the personality fit is one part, the case interviews are the second part, and now you guys should all watch out because they will release it on LinkedIn. Like they do release like a portal where you can just go apply just as a CA without doing the MBA. The downside, or not even the downside, I would say, like MBA, you spend 2 years studying. So in the trajectory, if you directly come as a CA without an MBA, it takes you like a year and a half longer. But it's still way more, I would say, cost effective, right? You don't leave your job for doing an MBA. You don't pay the MBA fees and everything. So net, it still works out better, even if you spend an extra year at any consulting firm to kind of make it to the same designation that an MBA grad would. Anything else,
Got it.
Kushal, that
Simran, I had one question.
Sure.
Within the different domains of consulting, do you think that still, M&A kind of a consulting, generally CS get into, or it's even for, something like a GTM kind of a consulting CS can get into? What do you think?
So in the big three, like BCG, McKinsey, and Bain, there are no sort of niches. Like we don't hire for GTM or we don't hire for M&A. Like it's just Deloitte does. Deloitte has like an M&A practice, but if you focus on the big three, it's just general practice. Like you get hired and then you could go to any industry, you could do any sort of case, you could do an M&A, you could do a growth case, you could do a revenue case, you could do a cost case, doesn't matter. So, and you're very fungible. Like I have done like one growth case, then I've gone to an M&A case, then I've gone to a post-merger integration case, and across different industries like IT. Like I didn't know anything about IT when I started out. So the learning curve is pretty steep, but also like you are not bound or you're not limited by your background in the sense that CA hai to can only do XYZ. No, not at all.
Got it.
Got it. And what about the interview questions, by the way? I wanted to understand because I have a lot of friends in these industries. How are the
Yeah.
interviews different for, let's say, consulting versus a PE versus a VC versus an iBank? So I think you guys would give a good flavor on that as well.
Yeah, I think with consulting, like it's always a case. And like I think the cases get complicated. Like the easiest case could be like they are declining profits. Tell us why they are declining. You have to root cause it. The more complex cases are like GTM or market sizing. I think
What
I
is
do
GTM,
find.
if you can just help people understand that as well?
Yeah, sorry. It's the go-to-market strategy, like for a company to say enter a new country or to enter even a new space. Like you could be doing apparel in India, but now you want to enter jewelry. So that you would need like the go-to-market strategy to enter jewelry market in India. I resonated a lot with what Naman said. I think there are a lot of sort of similarities between consulting and VCs because again, you don't have that much data. You use a lot of first principle thinking. You use a lot of proxy. That's the word we use, right? Like when you don't know what it is, but you can like you use a proxy number to kind of get to a ballpark answer. So the proxies and ballparks of the world, I think consulting and VCs, we're kind of more attuned to it.
I think one more interesting question that they generally ask in consulting is about the guesstimates. I mean, I remember I was asked this question: how many people do you think travel from Borivali to Churchgate an everyday morning on a weekday? Which actually doesn't have any answer. You have to just, you just have to give them a logic about what you are thinking through. How do you calculate it if you're given the actual facts? So they're not really looking out towards, a correct answer, but more of your thinking.
Absolutely.
How did you tackle that? What was your structure or thought process?
Mine. I was trying to understand. I started with answering that question with, how many people would actually live in Borivali, who would work in Churchgate, right? A percentage of that population who live in Borivali, and then coming to, how many of them would use actually a train as a source to travel. So that's how I structured it, and ended up with a number which was, of course, very wrong to the correct estimate, because I didn't even know what the population of Borivali was. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So I think
But
an
it's
interesting.
interesting. It's interesting, really interesting. Consulting interviews are really interesting. They also asked me like 2, 3 riddles. I was like,
What
why are
what kind
you
of
asking
riddles?
me
What
this?
kind of riddles?
I mean, I don't remember exactly, but things like, mm, if you throw a watermelon or a egg from the top of the floor, which one would fall first? I mean, so there are a couple of riddles which I don't remember, but they were really interesting. Which again, I was I mean, I did answer one or two of them, but not all of them. But yeah, but it was really fun. I mean, I didn't
What
expect
firm was this? What firm was asking you?
this was
I'm just
Deloitte.
so confused. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, even I'm like, okay, watermelon and egg. ठीक है,
Yeah,
मतलब,
this is okay. I've heard they ask a lot of puzzles in PE questions and PE interviews. I mean, Shreyansh will always speak to it. But at IMA, all these puzzles questions were a part of the private equity package. Like consulting, we didn't have to. And like an interesting way to solve Rahul's question would be not to go from the demand side. Like don't look at how many people does Borivali have, but look at how many people can the train hold, because that's your bottleneck. Right, you just identify and then you do into 150%, because Mumbai train may nobody's it's going to be
Yeah,
obviously like
yeah.
overstaffed, so you do like you take a percentage there for like people are just hanging out of the train, but like doing a supply side would have also like been a
So let's
good way to
do
do it.
this fun thing, Simran. Since you're an expert at it, let's take a guess.
No,
Like if you can just take
you
a rough guess in
you
terms of how many
said
people travel from Borivali to Churchgate. People will have fun, like for sure. Like we just want to
you
understand how
told
it is
me
structured.
that we're coming here and we're just going to talk about our experiences. You never said I'm going to get interviewed and then
No, you're not getting interviewed. It's just a
assessed
5 minute
if I'm
small
good at my
activity.
job or not. This is just, if I
See,
have a
okay,
blasphemous answer, everyone's going to be like, yeah, cancel her bail employment. Yeah, what is she doing?
No, we just want to understand the structure, like in terms of how would we go if we are giving these problems.
Okay, so for example, if I mean, I can just look at, say, a Delhi example, right? Like if there's a train that's going. So I would say, okay, a train has how many coaches? 6 coaches, XY number of people per coach. So that is one train's capacity. Then you would look at how many trains per hour, right? So maybe every 5 minutes a train, whatever. So you get like that interval. And then the number of hours it functions. So you multiply that by, say, I don't know, 8 ghante if it's working. So that way you get like the entire sort of capacity of that particular line. And then you obviously have to account for the fact that it's always like peak and lean, right? So you can say it'll average out. You can say that in the rush hours it's 150%, but then the capacity is not utilized in the lean hours. So I'm just gonna, in consulting, you can always say whatever you want and just give a logic. Like I can say I'm gonna keep it at 100%, kyuki this is my logic. Peak and lean will balance out. And they'll not argue because they really don't care about the answer. They only care if you have thought of that variable and you've addressed it.
Yeah.
I was asked to estimate the number of diagnostic centers in India because some Italian diagnostic player is entering India. I had no clue. I mean, no clue. And then I went from demand, like I went from age and all that, because supply, you can't do it in, like this way. So, and then they'll ask you these questions, like, have you accounted for peak and lean? And then you say, of course, like, because I've averaged it out. And then they're happy with it. So yeah, like that's how I would have approached this question instead of going demand.
Got it. Yep, that gives a nice flavor. So maybe, guys, you can also share your interview experiences, please.
Shreyansh, go ahead.
You want to talk about how private equity interviews look like?
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, Shreyansh, please. I think
No, so since the teams are really lean, you pretty much meet everyone from the team. I think it's long 8 to 10 interview process for most of the funds, right? And typically divided into 3 main parts. One is essentially what you've done in your past work experiences, whether you're from consulting or IB. If you're from IB, they'll ask you a lot about your deals. What sort of deals you have done, what was the rationale behind the deal, what was your role, etc. In management consulting, they would of course ask about the case, how did you tackle, what are the challenges, and then of course always a mix of what industry you were working on. They'll keep testing your nuances on that industry, how in depth you were while working, etc. So that's one, you're very very sure about what you have done in your past work experiences. A number two, a very common question, I think 80% of the funds would ask that question, is on investment thesis. The question will start from, do you follow stock markets? If yes, do you recommend any one company, which company you like, what is your big bet? So that's where entire one round of interview will happen, where you'll try to back your answer, why I like that company, what sort of returns this can make, etc. I think that's one very core part of the interview. And a lot of funds would then follow up with a case study round, where they'll give you a company, they'll ask you to prepare a stock pitch, prepare financial models, etc. So it's like a very heavy on technical.
How
And
many
third part,
rounds? How many rounds of interviews total? In total?
so I mean, typically you'll meet everyone in the team. So depends on what sort of senior strength they have. But generally, 6 to 10 rounds is what
Six
what
to
you can.
ten. My
Sure,
God.
yes. I mean, more than 10 also a lot of
Isn't
times.
isn't that too stressful?
No, so I mean, they just can't go wrong with the hiring, right? Because they rely a lot on you. You have to work a lot in isolation, and then you have to work with them like across the year. Uh, so everyone do really want to meet you and make sure that this is the right fit for the organization.
Hmm.
So I
Wow.
mean, it's like 10% of the team, so just can't take chances. So I think that's why they typically extend it for so long.
And the route to get into P is mostly, like, from what I understand is, even we have a question from Chirag, by the way. So CA freshers, it's not ideally possible for them to
Yeah.
get into P, right? Like they have to go via consulting or investment banking, right? Is there
Yes.
any other route?
No, so I was actually going to cover that. Typically, I have not seen CA freshers getting into it because funds do prefer a year or two of experience for their entry level jobs. And their preferred talent pool is, of course, management consulting and investment banking. So if you're really keen to get into private equity, first you should try getting into that preferred talent pool. Something like management consulting, investment banking, or a job where you're making investment decisions or you are evaluating business models very often. So I think these 3, 4 things are very core to get into private equity. Number two, I mean, so just to lay out the land, right? There are generally, I think Kushal were discussing sometime earlier, there are generally 40 active private equity funds in India. Each fund would have, and if you do the math, each fund would have 2 to 3 analysts pool working there for 2 to 3 years. So on an average, annually, there would be some 40, 50 openings all over the India for an entry-level private equity job. And this is open also for engineers and commerce grads. So very small pool, although landscape is changing. A lot of family offices have started coming in. A lot of global funds have started setting up their offices. But the pool is very small. So these guys also hire just from hiring consultants. So you might also want to get in touch with some of the hiring consultants, right? Like Michael Page, Native, etc. They really help you navigate your journey. How you should prepare for the interviews. They introduce you to the private equity funds, get you into the processes, etc. So I think two major things. One is to be a part of that preferred talent pool, and secondly to get introduced to these hiring consultants, which help you get inroads into the private equity funds.
Right. Makes sense. That answers a lot. Naman, how is a VC interview different from a PE one?
Sure, let me pick that up and then I can talk about a lot about interviews, because I think in this panel I have given investment banking interview. I have also cracked BCG interview. I have done consulting. I have done private equity. So private equity interviews and then VC interviews also multiple. So let
You should
me.
take a course on how to crack PE VC consulting interviews. We can launch that course on KAGR.
But now I'd like to tell you about the interview experience, how it is different. One is different from
Yeah.
other. So VC again, it is uh, different than P in the sense that every fund, no fund generally have like a set process on how they want to interview a candidate. So it will be very different from fund to fund and very different whether they're hiring an analyst, associate, or a VP. So, but what main thing in common is what they are looking for is something which I can definitely tell you. It's so diverse that some firms can like do 4 rounds or 5 rounds of interview in VC, but some funds may end up just doing 1 or 2 rounds. And in some funds, you directly get interviewed by like the partner in the first phase on, And in someone, it could be like VP is interviewing, and then there is a director who will come in, and then there is a partner round, etc. So, like in my case in SK Velocity, like directly the partner came in, and I was introduced to the other partner. So it could be very, very, very varied. So, but what they are looking for is definitely that you need to have people skills, interpersonal skills, and second, they are looking for your passion, and third, definitely they are looking for you to be able to do that trend identification and know your if you are able to bifurcate and dissect the sectors or not, and will and definitely what you have to do in P interview or VC interviews, you got to tell the company or the space you believe in, that if you are like that is if even if there's not a question, you should answer that if let's say Shreyan's interview in Samara, right? If I already would have been at your company, which is the company I would like you guys to bet on. So this will show that you have done your work. You Samara's thesis, and this is how you think, and this is the type of bets you will take. So they will have a very clear picture on how this person looks about investing, how this person, is gonna work in this setup. So this is all. This always comes up, and I always keep prepared. Like the companies I like, and I would put my money in, and I would put the fund I'm interviewing for money, and. So yeah, this probably happens, and case studies are relatively lesser in VCs than PE because there is no excelling which they have to test. No one tests for your excelling skills, but yeah, they do test for your PPT skills in the sense that they'll ask you to make a PPT about what company would you invest in, etc. So it's just softer. You gotta write like few points. It could be a Word document also, to be very honest. So yeah, that's about these interview. But yeah, consulting interviews on the other hand are very, very like there's a set procedure for that you can prepare for guesstimates, you can prepare for there could be different questions. There could be a profit question, or it can be a cost cutting questions. So you can prepare, and sometimes there are chances that there is a straight away question coming up from what you have already prepared. And generally, I don't know how many people are aware, but at our time, 2018, BCG appointed a buddy to me like 1.5 months before the actual interview taking place. So that buddy keeps talking to you and takes mock interviews. And so it's like literally preparing for an entrance or an exam. But it's fun because it's really like how someone used an example of pushing our brains as to okay, what could be the other constraints, is there something you are missing? So it's fun, but at my time in consulting, I gave like 7 rounds in one day, and then like it was literally they picked, say, let's say three people out of the entire May 18 batch. So it's intense. The chances to crack it are very, very minimal at that time, but that's something I've also written in the chats that now I've seen BC, these big threes, and even more firms coming on to hire, and the number of hires have also increased because these firms, these consulting firms have also grown in the size. So they also hiring more and more people. So not just for
Sorry,
role, but
Naman, I'd just like to add one thing here. So I didn't have a rank. I mean, I know Naman was AIR 6 or something in my attempt, but and that was a big thing back then. Like the only reason Naman was sitting in a
Yeah.
recent interview was because he was a rank holder.
Yes.
Like that was a prerequisite. It is not so anymore. Like you can apply even without a rank now. Yeah, but like my lack of a rank was teased throughout my IIM Ahmedabad because everybody was a ranker, and I didn't have one, but I still had like McKinsey shortlist and like I had BCG. And I didn't. The only shortlist I didn't probably have was BCG, but otherwise I didn't face a problem not having a rank. Which, if you asked me like 5-6 years ago, you couldn't even get into the room, right?
Yeah,
Like
you had to
yeah.
be a-
But then how
Yeah,
do these,
sorry.
let's say if someone has not got a rank, so how do they get to know about these opportunities? Like, do these companies reach out to them? They have to apply somewhere. How does that happen, Simran?
No, so now it is just on LinkedIn. Like you
Okay.
if you just follow like their page, right? They put out like a form that you can fill. For CA specifically, they do that.
Okay.
This was your last attempt. If you are a November 23 qualified chartered accountant, this is the form to apply. Of course, like then they will see your CV and, I think somebody was asking about the number of attempts. I'm not going to pretend like it doesn't matter. Of course it does, because you are competing ultimately with each other, right? So if a Naman was to walk in with AIR 6 and I didn't have one, it would obviously, I would be at a disadvantage in that sense. So it does matter, but at least you can apply now, which in my time, without a rank, you weren't. That was the prerequisite to even applying.
Earlier, it used to be like they used to form a group of rankers,
Yeah,
and
correct.
only those people can apply.
The elite club, yes.
Yeah. So yeah, it's you guys are in a better position, and that's what we can solve for. So yeah, the roles have increased. And about I think how it started with I would tell more about how the question Kushal asked was how I cracked my first interview, right? So I see freshers here. So I'll tell you that story where I cracked the investment banking interview.
Which
So
bank was this?
so this is 2018, May 2018. I passed out maybe in September, and even I also applied for campus, got Reliance, not happy with, because I wanted to do finance, investing, etc. So honestly, guys, my journey is very similar to how yours
No,
gonna be.
I was asking which bank was this? Investment bank.
Investment bank, yeah, O3 Capital.
Okay,
O3
got it.
Capital, it's
Yep.
Mumbai based. Now they were also big, very they are maybe in the top five always, right? So how I got in was honestly, guys, I applied to their careers at the rate o3capital.com, and I wrote a very passionate body of the email that I I I eat business models for dinner, etc. And like I I I shared them some of the work I had done in the past. See, this is how I do thesis, and this is how I do excelling, and it just got the attention of the MD back there, and he literally himself replied to it and asked me if I can come down to meet. And he just asked me in that meeting that did you prepare this thesis on your own? I said yes. And he just pretended to maybe drag that interview for like the next 20-30 minutes, ask me few bookkeeping questions. But honestly, he just asked me if I prepared the thesis. I said yes, and he said I'm hired. So honestly, it was I did apply to like 100 other places, and something worked for me. I lucked out also. But what I didn't shy away from was like asking people on LinkedIn what all to apply for. I also didn't know about O3 Capital back then, but someone told that to me. I had that open mindset. I had the hustle to know that. So those things worked out for me. And so yeah, that's I wanted to tell you
Right.
my story.
No,
I
this
think,
is
sorry,
very
just to
underrated. Yeah, Shan,
yeah,
go
I mean,
ahead.
just to add, it's you can't just write that I eat business models for dinner. I mean, also focus on Naman mentioned that he attached the thesis with the mail,
Yeah,
right?
Yes, yes. But
Because I get these emails a lot. I like making numbers dance, etc. But honestly, this just doesn't work. Attaching work is something. I think this is the core that you should take away from what he said, and not
But what kind of
eating
work,
business
like,
models.
what can people do? Let's say, for example, I am not a banker, okay? I just have a very good inclination in finance. What do I attach there? Like, what do I tell?
So it's basically a company that, so you make a recommendation that I like this company, you should put in your money in this company and
Okay.
buy so.
Hmm.
So that's a investment thesis basically.
yeah,
Okay,
You
and
can
how
attach
long?
a screenshot of your portfolio, Vishal, how it's doing with your net worth.
Yeah, yeah.
see
I think then
my
I'll get
what
rejected everywhere.
thesis I attached is still there available on my LinkedIn. So guys, you can go watch.
Oh yeah, it'll be very interesting actually.
Yeah,
Naman, if you don't mind, if you have that link, can you drop it
no,
if
sure, I'll do
possible?
that.
That'll be
Yeah,
very helpful for everyone, I guess. So
I'll
I
do.
didn't know that you have uploaded it on LinkedIn. But yeah, this is
Yeah,
very
it
and
was
yeah,
a thesis
one
on United Spirits. I'll share.
sure. And one point, guys, everyone, right? Like this is very underrated in the sense that everyone feels that okay, campus placements get through, apply karna hai, off campus, maybe like there will be WhatsApp groups which will be created. But I think reaching out on LinkedIn, reaching out to 100 odd people, 200 odd people, and then like getting a job or maybe then getting a recruit, that is very underrated in the sense that you should reach out to as many people as possible. Since all of you, like most of you are November 23 candidates here, what I would recommend is at least try to reach out to as many people as possible. In 1 week there's a maximum limit of 100 on LinkedIn. वो खत्म कर लो. Every week you should have a notification from LinkedIn ki okay, your weekly maximum limit has been breached, and then like just ask them ki okay, is there a vacancy, what I should do, how I should prepare, and automatically I think that's the best way to get interview opportunities. So even as Naman mentioned, careers पे apply कर दिया. It's rare that careers usually they'll reply. मतलब usually नहीं करते. Big Fours में अगर करोगे तो वो भी नहीं करते. But I think the email was so strong that the MD couldn't resist and they didn't want to lose out on such a high quality talent like Naman Kejriwal. तो उन्होंने फिर reach
No,
out.
that's only they got to realize later, So that is what they thought. And so लेकिन ये सब देख लो सब कि रैंक था फिर भी करना पड़ता है सब नहीं रैंक है तो करना और ही करना पड़ेगा. So कुछ फर्क नहीं, मतलब मे बी बीसीजी थोड़ा सा करता था तब थोड़ा सा, और मेरिको and some companies were like very very rank specific, but otherwise my journey is like as equal as everyone else's journey. So थोड़ा no one please get any disheartened या फिर मत सोचो कि तुम्हारा रैंक नहीं आया. Simran is here with her story, she did crack that. So ऐसा कुछ भी नहीं है, बस efforts मारो. मैं तो एक ही चीज बोलूंगा, just as Kushal also said, कर दो limit expire efforts
हाँ
मारो.
मतलब आई थिंक
Yeah,
नमन इसमें
yes.
प्रॉब्लम क्या होता है कि पीपल आर लाइक कि हमने 10 लोगों को रीच आउट किया, कहाँ से भी रिप्लाई नहीं आया, एंड देन पीपल स्टॉप
Yes.
रीचिंग आउट.
Yes.
मतलब आई फील इट्स लाइक अ पेशेंस गेम एंड अ कंसिस्टेंसी गेम. इफ यू रीच आउट टू लेट्स से 100, अगर 2 भी रिप्लाई करते दैट्स अ गुड कन्वर्जन इन माय ओपिनियन. मतलब
Response rate is like 2%, yeah.
डोंट गेट डिसहार्टेंड कि 10 लोगों को रीच आउट किया, 20 को किया, 0 ने रिप्लाई किया. गेट हैप्पी कि 100 लोगों में से 2 ने रिप्लाई किया. आई थिंक
So,
दैट्स द
Kushal, to your point, I opted out of campus placements, and in PwC when you do Big Four, they'll automatically give you an offer, right? Most of the time you get the audit mein, so you'll get a job, and I rejected that also. I did not sit for campus because I was like, these jobs I don't want to do. I had no clue what to do. I took a book at that point. So LinkedIn was new to me. I made a LinkedIn after I became a CA in 2018. And then I had a book where I would talk to one person and I would always request, ki, can you connect me to someone else? Like, koi ek mil jaye. And then I made a flowchart. I still have that book. Ki, I spoke to A gave me B and C's number, C gave me D and E, like properly, like who I knew, how I knew it. And I didn't sit for campus. And then like Nestle also at that point to get as a CA, Nestle hires 2 people a year as CAs at that point. I don't know now what it is. But that also came through like random naukri.com pe, like बहुत हाथ पैर मारना पड़ता है. That is the reality. It was that way 5 years ago. I don't know if it is better now, but in my experience, if you don't put in that effort and like, I didn't have a job for like 5 months. No, not 5. I think 3-4 months. Zero idea of where I'm going, and just Tashan में campus में नहीं बैठी हूँ. PwC का check कर दिया है because I didn't want to do that. But so much reaching out, guys. It is important. And yeah.
And to your point, I don't think the things are better because honestly, last 1-2 साल markets के लिए इतने favorable नहीं रहे. I think investment banking में भी वही हाल है, PEVC में भी वही हाल है. जब से Fed rate increase हुई है, तो the money definitely is not increasing. The investments are they are plummeted. So guys, brace yourself. The industry is not getting better. There are not like कि openings बढ़ गई है. In fact, more and more people want to get into finance roles, while I don't see the opening इसमें like हम भी hire कर रहे थे last 2 years, we are not hiring. So be mindful of that. And इसमें थोड़ा मैं ये बोलूँगा थोड़ा patience और लगेगा, but लगा लेना.
right.
I think this is really intimidating. If I were listening to Simran and Naman during my time, I would be really disheartened. But anyways, I think Meghna was mentioning that Rahul sir did not share his interview experience.
Rahul, maybe if you want to
I'll
share.
go ahead. I'll just start before this. I'll just address one question which I think a lot of people asked. Whether just CA is enough to get into these roles, or do you need something additional, right? So I think, guys, it's a myth that with CA you can't get into these roles. I mean, maybe back in time it was not there, but now I see a lot of PE VCs as well as consulting teams, as well as investment banking, where a lot of CAs is present. Even in my own organization at an analyst associate level, 80% of the team is a CA and only 20% is MBA without a CA actually. So honestly, I mean, it's a myth and you guys can get into it. It's just that, just as compared to audit and tax where only CAs apply, you feel that it's a difference, and these kind of jobs are very limited. So, and the competition is from other people as well. That's why you feel that way. Otherwise, it's not there. You can actually get into it. And yeah, coming to IB interviews, there are generally a 3 to 5 round interviews, divided into, I mean, it's core technical interviews. They would not ask you anything here and there. They would test you on your first on your finance skills. Like, do you know the technical, what is an equity, what is a debt, right? What is a balance sheet, what is a P&L? So ratios, etc. That's what they will ask you first. Starts generally with an AVP or a VP. They'll take your first interview, then you move on to the next round if they're happy with you. That would be maybe with the VP again, with the second VP. Yeah, so that's what happens. Then they'll give you a case study. That case study again depends on what level you are applying for. If you're maybe just a first year analyst, then they will give you more of like two. They'll give you two companies, ask you to compare them within the same industry. Which one is better, which one do you think you should invest in, where you will have to prepare a small Excel with a 2 or 3 page PPT saying, okay, this is the pros of this company, cons of this company, and this is why I will invest in this company. So that's how some of the interviews at entry level look like. When you are an associate, then you will probably be given or a third year analyst, you'll probably be given a financial model to be prepared. Where they'll give you historicals of either a public company or either theoretical company that they would have created, and they'll ask you to project future of this company, where you have to do your own assumptions, understand what the previous historical growth looks like and how can you project it further. So I think that's one it is. And apart from that, they will also ask you to create a pitch deck to test you on your PPT skills. How do you understand the business model of the company, etc., and what do you think are the key investment highlights of the particular investment. And if you want to really understand and see how can you crack these interviews, I think first and foremost, if because I gave my investment banking interview 2 years after I did my CA. So I think what helped me at that time was I was doing CFA as well. So I think the equity subject in CFA is, I mean, it's a very small book, and you can really complete it like in 5 days. So once you read it, I think you will be well back with all your knowledge of finance and equity as a subject. So I think that helps. Apart from that, on the model side, I think what really helps is going onto the Google and just look at the models which are there on LinkedIn. A lot of people post their models, so you can just have a look at it. You will get to understand how is it prepared, right? So I think that really helped a lot to me as well. Yeah, another one important thing that they generally ask, if you are not prepared for it, I think they would ask you, which one is your favorite stock and why, if you are investing. So be prepared with it. Pick up one stock, read history, geography, science, everything of that stock, and just blabber in front of the person who's interviewing you about it. So I think that's really one important question which I have seen every time when an investment banking interview comes up. So yeah, I mean that's it. I mean it's a bit too technical, I would say. So just be prepared for it. Nothing apart from finance would hit you there. So yeah.
Right. I think this is also quite intense. But from what I figure, I think it's quite similar to a PE interview, is what I could guess. Like Shreyansh, you also mentioned, I think similar topics are tested even in a PE interview. So I find some similarities in an IB and PE interview at least.
Generally, the case studies that they give, I mean, models are definitely there. They also give you additional case studies on, maybe evaluating a commercial model. I think what I've seen. Plus, in the first or second round, they also do not go very technical because people from diverse backgrounds are there, so they do not really go very technical. That's what I feel.
Yeah.
Shreyansh.
Yes, and I think it's also very pretty much mix of IB and consulting, because that's the talent pool.
Right.
If someone from management consulting is getting interviewed, they would again ask the case on maybe profitability or cost or guesstimate. So it's a mix of consulting and IB, mix of core finance versus, let's say, understanding of business models.
Yeah.
So I think when, let's say, for example, stock pitch, they would ask certainly on the valuation, do you think this is the right valuation? And they'll also ask, what is their moat? Why do you think the industry will not die? Why do you think this company is performing well? What do you think about the corporate governance, etc.? I think it's pretty much a mix of both.
Got it. Fair. Just before we I think we can take the questions also. But one common question everyone is asking is, do number of attempts matter in getting into, let's say, investment banking or a VC? Rahul, anything on that?
See, I think it's just the generic way. Okay, I mean, I think Simran also mentioned, Naman also mentioned, it's just a generic way of filtering out candidates, because in India there's a lot of population, a lot of people doing CA, a lot of people applying for the interviews, right? I think the and before even a candidate gets selected or even gets shortlisted for an interview, right? They would just look at the CV, and the key point they would look at it is, if two people like Simran said, if me and Simran are there and she has done an if she's got a rank, right, then definitely she'll get shortlisted before me, right? Because as an interviewer, even if I am selecting a candidate, I would go with that procedure only because I don't know anything else about the candidate, right, at that point of time. So it's only when you get shortlisted and you get to sit in front of the person, you can actually turn it around and maybe you give a better interview than a ranker would do, or you prepare a model which is much better than a ranker would do. But I think so that is always there in our country. I mean, it cannot be neglected. Even if even while selecting for IIMs, they look at your 12th mark sheet as well, right? So I mean, it's maybe after 3 years doesn't even matter, but yeah, they would look at it. So I mean, it's just a general way of filtering. So guys, don't think that just because you don't have a rank, you don't have a chance. You have a chance. Apply at a lot of places. I think, as Kushal mentioned, reach out to 100, 200 people. I mean, when I cleared my CA, I remember I used to apply for every day morning. Once I cleared CA, every day morning I would apply for at least 20, 30 jobs on LinkedIn as well. So every day morning I would do that, irrespective of the fact whether I'm getting a response or not. I would do that. So I think that's the way to do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nothing else.
No, I completely agree with that. I think that is quite underrated. One question which you also got in the chat box. Yeah, this is something which I forgot to cover. The salary ranges which people can expect as a fresher in PE, IB consulting. One by one, covering all your industries, please.
I'll go for consult. There is a disparity in consulting if you join directly as a CA versus if you join as an MBA. If you join as an MBA, you can expect anywhere between 30 to 38 in that range. Depends on the firm as well. So like I think BCG is the highest payer.
Guys, 30 to 38 lakhs per annum. Yeah, just
per
to add
annum.
that. Yeah.
For sure per annum.
Yeah.
And if you go directly as a CA without like a postgrad degree, I think it's a little lower. I would peg it at 20 to 25. Yeah.
Got it. And this includes variable as well?
Yeah, this is the entire CTC.
Got it. Cool. Rahul?
Yeah, so I think I'll answer it in dividing it into two things: domestic banks as well as global banks. Because in domestic banks, when you generally start, I mean that's a good way to start actually, because global banks may not hire you, right? So you have to go with domestic banks. Domestic banks would offer you somewhere between 13 to 15 lakhs as a CTC. Over and above, there is a bonus for which all bankers actually work. So that can range between 75 to 200%. I've seen 250% also as bonuses getting rolled out to analysts. But yeah. So that's how it looks like for domestic. For global, it would be more like a range of 18 to 22, I would say, at a CA fresher level, not more than that. But yeah.
Got it. Cool. Shreyansh?
So Anuta, I think so. Since PE guys usually entry-level jobs they hire after 1 or 2 years of experience, so it's slightly on a higher end. Again, a lot of range. Some funds would offer somewhere starting from 25 LPA to going to as high as 60 LPA as a fixed component. So fixed component will be ranging from 25, 30 to 60. And on top of it, depends on your performance, fund performance, bonuses can be around in the range of 80 to 100%. So I think that's where it lands up.
I think the lucrative part about this industry, or maybe PE, VC, IB and all, it's like the bonuses can go as high as 100% of the fixed pay as well, depending on whether it's a good year or a bad year.
Yeah.
So that is something, although the working hours are very, very high, of course, that goes without saying. But even when the deal is gone through, or if it's a good year, the bonuses can go even as high as your fixed component as well. So just
Yeah.
bring it out. Naman, anything on the VC front?
Yeah, so I think Shreyan's how we're put for PVC is also broadly the same when it comes to the pay scale, and also like how Rahul distinguished between domestic funds and Indian funds. I would also sorry and foreign funds. There is a stark difference in the pay ranges. So yeah, domestic funds pay lesser while the global funds tend to pay much higher, and it does go, as Shreyans mentions, up to 6 lakh. Here, the variable, just the difference between VC, variable is mostly in the form of carry. Carry interest is if you do a deal, if you're on the deal team and that deal performs extraordinarily and you get like a stellar exit, so you get some percentage of that exit. So it's very variable in the variable also. So that's less like 80% of fixed kind of structures, but more like carry. And but that only gets in after you are like at least 2-3 years senior in the industry.
So
Like,
carry is basically, let's say you invest $1 million in a company, that $1 million becomes $5 million, let's say 5 years down the line. So $4 million का जो gain हुआ, उस पे you get maybe 20% carry, and this is shared between everyone. Is that the case?
so the VC fund will earn a 20% on that $4 million. Generally, like it could be different for 18, 20, 25. It could be anything, which is an agreement between an LP and a VC. So yeah, the VC firm will earn, let's say, 0.8 million in that whole transaction, besides management fee, which is a recurring
Yeah,
fixed fee they
yeah.
keep changing. So, but out of that, how much an analyst or an associate will get will be completely arbitrary. Depends on
But from what I've understood is analyst associates usually they're not part of carry, right? In the sense they don't get that
like
variable pay.
funds
VPs
like
usually get, right?
in funds like Excel, Sequoia, like from associate and like from associate level, senior associate level start
Oh,
becoming
okay.
part of the carry. Like
I think it happens for a track role because an analyst
yes,
would be there for 2 years, 3 years. So you're actually not
What is
looking
a
at
track
entire
role?
life cycle.
What is a track role?
So in PE, at least in PEs, and I'm sure lot of VCs have 2 or 3 years of pre-MBA program, right? Where you get into the fund, work with them for 2 or 3 years, and then they expect you to either go out for an MBA, or if they like you, if they have the policy, they convert you into a track role where you can, grow within the organization. So if you're part of that 2 year, 3 year program, it's generally not possible to be part of that carry mechanism because you're not actually looking at a deal cycle. So once you're part of the track role, they know that you're going to stick around. That's where you also co-invest. You're given an option to co-invest and you get part of the carry.
Got it. Thanks for explaining that. Guys, out of the four of you, how many of you have done CFA?
I've done my CFA. Yes.
I've done till level 2. So
Okay.
level 3 is so many.
level 2. Yeah.
I've
Level
done level 1, guys.
So everyone, okay, so you have attempted like CFA, everyone, all four of you.
Yeah, but
So,
honestly, it
Yeah,
doesn't
is
really
that,
make
yeah,
a lot of
exactly. The question is that
Sorry,
mandatory?
before we move to that question, Kushal, I think we missed on one industry, that is upskilling and content creation. We're talking about the pay scale.
Yeah, what's the
I
salary
think we
there?
missed that industry.
No, I think that's not a relevant industry. I mean,
I'm sure.
Anna,
everyone
I
would
think
like
it
to
is.
know.
I think it is.
I mean, you have the most number of followers. So I think everybody wants to follow your profession.
No, I mean,
Yeah.
not really. People follow me because I get people like you in the webinars. That's one of the main reasons why people follow me. So people follow me because I get Rahul, Shreyans, Simran, and Naman. ऐसे ही followers बढ़ाते.
I think
But
someone is asking that question.
अच्छा, ठीक है. So I think on a serious note, upskilling and content creation, these are two separate industries, by the way. So content creation, if I may just throw some light, I think a person with, let's say, 1 million subscribers on YouTube can charge anywhere between, let's say, 4 to 6 lakhs per video for a brand collaboration. Usually creators earn through brand deals only. They don't earn through YouTube, Google AdSense. That's peanuts, like nominal amount. Apart from that, if you are, let's say, having 500,000 followers on LinkedIn, getting on an average 2.5 lakh impressions, you can charge around 1.5 lakhs per post on LinkedIn to a brand. And if you're, let's say, similar for Instagram, if you have around 500k followers, you are getting 200k views, you can charge 2 lakh per reel for a brand collab. So basically, the cost per view on YouTube is rupees 2 to 3 because the shelf life of a content is higher there. Cost per view on Instagram is around rupees 1, and cost per view on LinkedIn is rupees 0.5. These are the usual industry rates as far as brand deals are concerned. So a person with 1 million subscribers on YouTube, Instagram, and LinkedIn, all three, if they are having 1 million, they can earn anywhere between 20 to 30 lakhs per month. And let's say only if they're doing YouTube, if you have 1 million subscribers only on YouTube, you can earn anywhere between 10 to 12 lakhs a month, depending on how many brand deals you get. So that's, but again, the success rate is very low here. It is very difficult to reach to that scale. You need consistency, you need patience, and you really need to do a lot of hard work in order to get to that scale.
I think Simran was doing guesstimate on what's the number of followers for Kushal, etc.
No, I think that we can do it at a later stage. I
Sure,
don't
sure.
We can do it offline. I think that'll be better. But yeah, I think coming back, what was the question asked? Yeah, CFA one.
Yeah.
So maybe if anyone wants to take, because I think all five of us have done CFA. So is it mandatory? What do you guys think?
So I think in India, it's not really a thing right now. I mean, definitely CFA as a course, if you'll do it individually, that still can get you a job. But yeah, if you're a CA already, I don't think it really adds that value even in terms of technical education or something, because a lot of those things or majority of those things you would have already covered in your CA course, right? Plus if I look into the market, right, it just serves as an add-on. I mean, if you want to do it, it's more like that if two people are CAs have got almost equal thing throughout their career, then maybe just for a shortlisting purpose they might shortlist you better than but otherwise I don't think there's a lot of value it adds in Indian market if you are a CA already.
Yeah, I'd like to agree with Rahul. So at B School, what I've seen is a lot of engineers try to do CFA because it signals that interest in finance. I think with a CA degree, you sufficiently signaled your interest in finance. So it doesn't add as much. I did level 1 thinking, I mean, I wanted to be in like the IVP VC world when I became a CA. But I quickly realized that I didn't want that. But at that stage, I thought, maybe a CFA would help. I really don't think it's a core ask. I know CAs without the CFAs who are also in PE, VCIB. So
Got it. Yeah, I think I agree with that. CFA is, I think, just an add-on, but it's not mandatory.
I think I would emphasize on the benefits. I mean, while I agree that it's not a mandatory requirement for jobs, definitely an add-on. But when I completed my CFA, I realized that it really helped me upskill in terms of at least my knowledge of finance. How do you think about different asset classes? How globally finance is, etc. So I think that way I really enjoyed the whole curriculum of CFA. It's really dynamic and it gives you a broader perspective on how to look at investment industry as a whole. So that way I think really helped me. Of course, does give an add-on to your profile when you apply for investing roles, but of course not a hard requirement for the
Right.
recruiters.
No, makes sense. No, cool. Thanks for answering that as well. So just in the interest of time, I think last question which I want to ask all of you, we've taken a lot of audience questions as well. What do you guys hate about your jobs? What is something you don't like? And if you want to share an incident, that'll be fun to listen to as well.
guys, I just want to warn you that Kushal has already said he's going to take clippings of this and put it to get viral and like
No,
with
I
his
am not.
following and
No, I'm not
earn
going to
that
do it.
20-30 lakhs. So be very careful.
No, this
what you're
is a
saying.
content which won't fetch me 20-30 lakhs, I think.
Oh.
This will fetch me more, I guess.
Congratulations on like, oh, okay, more. Okay. I thought you were just
No,
dissing all 4 of us.
no,
Like,
no,
तुमसे
no,
नहीं बनेगा.
no. So yeah, anyone who wants to share, what do you guys? I mean, the lowlights in the sense that people should also know that it's not that lucrative in the sense, the lowlights bhi hote hai. So just to give fair view to everyone.
I mean, I'll start first. I think about investment banking, everybody knows the low light is a lot of pressure as well as hectic number of hours that really goes into it. So I think that's the low light of it. But I mean, honestly, for me, I really don't mind working for a number of hours. I mean, it's just the pressure which gets created because when you are executing a deal and the timelines are really stringent, everything was due as of yesterday. So that with that timeline you have to work and you have to deliver a quality thing as well. So I think pressure is something, and given lean team size that we generally go with, there'll be just one person alongside with you, and generally in small banks even they are not there, you are the only person who is doing the deal. So anything which goes wrong, if you missed out on one specific item, let's say even as good as a press release, if you just forgot about it, you have to it's a really high pressure job that you have to
What's
cater
the
to.
number of working hours typically? 12, more than 12?
See, see, 12 plus hours on a daily basis. I think so. Plus, when you're actually on a deal and it's close to a closure, at that time you can assume even 14 to 15 hours every day, 14, 15, 16 hours every day. So yeah, that's what it is. But there are periods when you even you have to work 8 to 10 hours a day also. That's like a lull period when you don't have any deals. You're just doing business development activities, etc. But yeah, but I mean that period is comparatively less and as compared to the other periods. So yeah.
Got it. Cool. Shreyansh, Naman.
Yeah, I can go next.
My low light is like, I miss depth at times and yeah, love. Sometimes I don't mind looking at numbers and history and some data to back what I'm backing. So yeah, I do miss that part. Yeah.
Got
And
it.
obviously investing is a lonely journey.
Yeah.
So know that like you can't run for validation like because if you are betting into like what everyone is betting into, you will never make the alpha. So it's a lonely journey, and it gets lonely at times. But like this is a choice you
But I
make.
think it won't be lonely for you because you party a lot, right? So you will
That's
find
so,
someone.
but that's outside work. But your work
Oh.
is gonna be lonely.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah.
And Simran?
Yeah, so what do you not like about the job? I
Hmm.
think apart from bosses, I think one would be, I mean, the most challenging part when I initially joined was the imposter syndrome. You are surrounded by so many smart people. You're meeting very successful founders. Your seniors are like finance stalwarts, etc. Initially, I like genuinely feel like you just don't know anything. They would ask you questions out of nowhere, and you just do not have any answers. I think first few months were really tough in that way, because this job is a lot about depth. I mean, you have to like literally go down to unit economics, first principle thinking, etc. So that was one, and I think very deeply put by Naman, that you have to work in isolation. It's indeed a lonely journey, right? So a lot of times you'll be independently working on a lot of things. So things get lonelier sometimes, but then I think these are a few things that are challenging to be part of investing ecosystem.
Makes sense. Simran, I think you got enough time to think for your answer.
I was trying to. So I think, I mean, I don't know, this might be a little controversial, but in consulting, when like especially Bain, when they come on campus, they tell you that 13 hours a day is the norm. You can't complain at 13 hours a day. So you start at 10 a.m., 11, ending at 11 a.m. is what you are signing up for, right? And the packages at campus, like I think JP Morgan comes for their IB role, and I think the CTC is upward of 1 crore at campus, and this could go to like freshers, right? Not just so it's really, and then in consulting that pays somewhere around 35-40. So you have to take that decision ki yaar, is, and of course, so it's 13 hours vis-a-vis, I would say 15-16 hours, and then there are no weekends. I'm talking about the bulge bracket IBs. Rahul can correct me if I'm wrong, but I have friends who work there, and you have to take that decision, like, do you want slightly better work-life balance? Because consulting will give you better, but it's not good. 13 hours a day, 5 days a week is not good. Yeah, I'm talking about MBA freshers. So that's true. This is not just for CA. So you need to take that call. Like probably like you will earn 1 crore in consulting 4 years in, whereas bulge bracket MBA grads will earn 1 crore right out of campus. So marginally better work-life balance, much longer to reach the money goal. But at the same time, I feel like it's not at all lonely. Like what Shreyas and Aman said, consulting is all about people. So you work in teams, you work with people, which is very important to me. And I get my energy with work, by working with people. So you need to kind of evaluate what's important to you.
Right. Thanks for bringing that up. I think I was not aware about this packages at JP Morgan after MBA. I think I
Yeah.
should do an MBA from IIM if in case they take me. Let's see what happens.
They'd be lucky to have you.
I wish. But guys, but thank you so much for doing this. I think this was very, very helpful. And I think everyone just I'll be here for the next 30 minutes as well, and I'll be solving all your doubts, whichever you have. And guys, like everyone, we've also launched a career accelerator program, out of which Shreyansh, Naman, and Simran are also buddies who are going to be there. So we are doing a batch size of 25 students and one mentor per student. So if you're lucky enough, you can, of course, like you can apply and you can get buddies like all these people who have achieved and who have excelled in their careers, who will be guiding you, spending 30 minutes every week with you for mock interviews, for resume building, and all of that. So thanks a lot, everyone, and I hope I could do justice to your time as well.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Kushal. Had a great time.
All the
Thank
best.
you.
Thank you,
All
Kushal.
the
Thank
best,
you.
everyone,
Thank you so
for
much.
job hunting and your results. All the best.
Right. If
All
there's
the
any
best.
question, please feel free to reach out to them on LinkedIn. I hope you guys will reply, or at least like get some time to just
Yes.
respond to the messages. Perfect. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.
Thank
Bye bye.
you.
Bye.
Thanks so much.
So thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in here. And maybe, like we'll just spend some time on what exactly we're doing at KAGR as well, and what exactly is the Career Accelerator program, which we are launching. So after my CA finals exams were over, right, I was also facing this challenge that there was no one whom I could reach out to for guidance, and there was no upskilling course for 1.5 months, which would help me in order to just ensure that I also upskill and I also get some guidance from somebody. So we've launched one proper career accelerator program at KAGR starting from 5th of December. This is divided into 6 weeks. Week 1 is going to be on advanced Excel taken by Chinmay Amte, who is a valuation and modeling analyst at EY. Week 2 is going to be taken by Tej Shah, who works at Marcellus Investment Managers, which is a portfolio management services company. He's going to teach on how to read annual reports, investor presentations, earnings con call transcript. Week 3 and week 4 is going to be on financial modeling taken by Prakhar Gupta, who is also a chartered accountant, all India rank holder. He was working at EY for 2 years, and now he has set up his own consultancy firm where he advises startups on valuations and financial modeling. Week 5 is going to be taken by Vatsal Maniar, who is a project leader at Boston Consulting Group, BCG. He's going to take on management consulting case interview prep. So he's going to teach you all the types of cases that you can solve: guesstimates, profitability, go to market, mergers and acquisitions, etc. And lastly, week 6 is going to be taken by me on soft skills, where we are going to teach you everything about resume building, mock interviews, group discussion, as well as building a personal brand on LinkedIn. So these would be a total of 4 sessions where I would be taking, and the last session will be on building a personal brand on LinkedIn. That is going to be most interactive and most fun session, where we are going to teach you how to build a personal brand on LinkedIn, how you can leverage that in order to get a job as well. So this is the typical schedule. It starts from 5th of December, ends on 19th of January. 25 students. It will be on an application basis. You guys will be given the link. I'll ask someone from my team to just paste the link in the chat box. There's an application fee of ₹100, which is non-refundable because of the effort that is going to be involved here. And apart from that, we'll be screening the applications. I'll be taking the interviews, and then we are going to select a proper batch size of 25. This is going to happen on Monday to Friday, 8 to 10 p.m. The recordings will also be given to everyone if in case you're not able to attend that lecture on a particular day. And we are going to divide these 25 people into 5 groups of 5 people each. And on every week in the last day, we are going to give them assignments to present in front of everyone, and just ensure that they are presenting. They are also having that soft skills aspect, and everyone will also be graded, and all the assignments will be rated accordingly as well. So it's a 6 weeks program. The prices charged by other competition has also been increased a lot. There are some people who are charging for a 3 months program with a similar number of hours duration at 1.5 lakhs plus GST, 3 lakhs plus GST, etc. Without naming any competition, of course. But we are charging it as of now as 25,000 plus GST, and we are also giving scholarships ranging from 40 to 60%. Where if you are an intermediate rank holder, or if you are a CA final, a CA foundation rank holder, or if you have done, let's say, some articleship in a very good firm, industrial training in a very big company, you can get scholarships as well. The way to apply for scholarships is very simple. You have to tell us that why do you deserve a scholarship. You just have to send us a short email on info@kagr.club, marking me in CC, which is kushal@kagr.club, and a short 300 words to 500 words kind of an application would also suffice for us to understand if you deserve the scholarship or not. The scholarship will be at the discretion of KAGR committee itself, and we are going to ensure that we give scholarships to merit basis people and people whom we really feel will add a lot of value in getting in the batch itself. Last thing which I wanted to mention was that what is the selection criteria of all these 25 people? It's pretty simple. I want all these 25 people to have drive, hunger, and curiosity and enthusiasm to learn new things so that they can add value. They can just ask as many questions as possible in the batch. They can answer as many questions as they want, and they'll be the most curious mindset people. It's not like there's no criteria if you have multiple number of attempts, if you're from a mid-sized firm, if you are, let's say, from a tier 2, tier 3 city, no criteria are there. I just want people who are curious, hungry to learn, and have some passion to achieving something in life. And it is going to be a hardcore finance kind of a training. So since it's going to be a finance training, I want people who are inclined in getting jobs in the field of finance. We are also tying up with corporates at the back end. We have already spoken to Aditya Birla Group. I'm going to speak to various multiple companies as well and asking them to interview the candidates once the CA final results are announced. So basically placement assistance will also be provided to you. And if you have any queries, if you have any doubts, you can reach out to us. You can ask us, okay, what to do, etc. You will be given access to 25 different mentors, of course, like one student per mentor. So if let's say you are a student, you will be given access to one mentor. Let's say someone like a Naman Kejriwal or a Simran Somani or a Shreyansh Agrawal, whom you saw here. So they'll guide you every week. They'll spend 30 minutes on call with you. They'll guide you. They'll take your mock interviews. They'll help you to build your resume. They will help you in order to just understand kaun se career path pe jana hai, how do you choose which career path to go, and all of that. So for 6 straight weeks, you'll get access to these people one-on-one on WhatsApp, on mobile call for 30 straight minutes. So these are the values which we are giving. And apart from that, every weekend we are planning to organize sessions from industry practitioners who will come, and like wherever, if let's say a batch wants a session on equity research, I'll call someone from the industry, someone who of my age or my profile, who can come and guide you about that particular role. If someone wants to understand about portfolio management or mutual fund industry, or let's say someone wants to understand about buy side versus sell side investment banking, we'll call people from other industries, and that is something which we can do on weekends. So that's about the career accelerator program, guys. So I think we have sent the links here itself, and we have also sent the links to fill out the application forms as well. And if you are someone who wants to upskill, who wants to get a dream job in finance, and who wants to just ensure that your time is utilized productively, please make sure to register for this career accelerator program. We've already got good number of applications as of now, but we want good applications so that we can create this batch size of 25 of the smartest finance professionals. And I personally am going to be in touch with all 25, groom, guide, and ensure that from my network that I've built over the last years, I help in placements and I help in getting a job as well. So this is something which I wanted to just ensure, and I just wanted to just tell all of you. So I think if there's any question, please feel free to talk more here, and I'll be here for the next 18 minutes. I'm here till 12 o'clock. If you have any questions about the program or maybe about anything in career in general, please feel free to ask them in the chat box. And once you do that, I'll just answer each and every question. Please type it in the chat box. I'm not able to view the Q&A for some reason. I will definitely answer all the questions which are there in the chat box. We have one question by Man. Sorry, I'm not able to see the name. Can you please help me with idea about FP&A role? Financial planning and analysis role is something where you have to do budgeting and forecasting. If let's say you get into FP&A, you will need to ensure that you are doing analysis and projections of, let's say, P&L of the company. So for example, I work in Aditya Birla Group. I work in, let's say, Aditya Birla Fashion and Retail Limited. If I am an FP&A manager, I will have to do the forecasting for the next 2 years. I'll have to set the targets. I will have to prepare the MIS, which is the Management Information System, where you have to lay down the entire P&L, balance sheet, cash flow statement. And I have to ensure that the budgets which I have set are being achieved at the end of the year. So that is something which a FP&A manager usually does. Financial planning and analysis. Financial planning is what? Budgeting. You plan for the finances. Analysis is what? Once the budgets are achieved, once the targets are met, analyze what went wrong, what went right. That is a simple FP&A role. Let's take the next question. Simran Agarwal is asking, how can we find our domain? That's a very good question. I feel you need to experiment a lot in your life at this stage or juncture. What I feel is that you should apply to as many companies as possible. Figure out, okay, let's say if you apply in management trainee programs, you will be rotated across 3 different firms, 3 different departments, 4 different departments. Depending on what you like, you can take a calling. If I were you, I would have experimented. I would have, let's say, worked in corporate finance. I would have worked in FP&A. I would have worked in, let's say, mergers and acquisitions, investment banking. And then I would have decided kya karna hai, which is what I did. I worked in corporate finance at ABG. I also worked in corporate economic cell, which is very unconventional. I worked in venture capital, which is Aditya Birla Ventures. I also worked in GST and taxation in my articleship, which helped me to understand ultimately karna kya hai. वो decide कर लिया कुछ भी नहीं करना है इन सब में से. I want to do something of my own only. So that is something which was there. Let's take the next question here. Sir, how can CA enter into quantitative trading? So that's a good question. I am not the perfect person to answer that, but I feel quant trading is something which is very technical. You need to do technical analysis. You need to know how to, let's say, do technical analysis of stocks, and you need to have some knowledge of coding as well, Python or SQL and all. And then I think you'll be able to do like algorithmic trading or quantitative trading is what I feel. So I might not be the best person, but Saurabh, one of my friends, Saurabh Sisodia, he is the co-founder of Quantify Capital. He was mentioning they usually prefer data scientists, people who can do hardcore analysis. So if you want to get into quantitative trading, make sure you know Python, Power BI, Excel, SQL, all these tools, so that you get to know how to analyze a big pool of data. So that is something which I would want to tell you. Let's take the next question. Is 12 plus hours work will be forever, or it will be reduced as we grow our experience? So that's a very good question, Sathi Prakash. I'll tell you, it will reduce as you grow up in the ladder of the company. Honestly, what happens is that initially you will have to work for, let's say, 12 hours, 14 hours, 10 hours, depending on your juniority. Once you become senior, you can delegate work to your junior. So let's say as a junior, you will be required to prepare a financial model. As a junior, you will be required to prepare the slides in PPT. As a junior, you will be required to, let's say, scout data, download annual reports, download con call transcript, download investor presentation, read the data and all. Once you, let's say, become senior at after 4 or 5 years, you can delegate all the tasks to junior, and you then have to review the work. Hota kya hai ki after a point in time, a CEO is rewarded for taking the most number of quality decisions in the least possible amount of time. That is something which you need to remember. You have to take the most number of good quality decisions. Even if that number is low, that's fine, but take good quality decisions after a point in time and reviewing the work. That's what the job of a CEO is. And to reach that scale, you need to just grind for the first few years, and automatically you will be able to reduce the number of working hours. Let's take the next question here. Abhishek Goyal is asking, should we reach now or after results? So I think it'll be better if you can apply now and you can just enroll it here, because the point is that you are free for the next 2 months, in the sense that results tak thoda bhi relaxed time hai. Results ke baad there'll be a lot of other things also on your plate, like applying for campus placements and preparing for a lot of interviews and all. I would suggest that at least the hard skills part, which is there, like financial modeling, advanced Excel, management consulting, you can feel free to apply it right now. You can learn all of these skill sets, and after the results is announced, then you can, I mean, since we'll be teaching soft skills also, like soft skills is something which is going to be taught in the last week, which is 15 Jan to 19 Jan, which is when the results is announced. So that time we'll be helping you with the soft skills part as well. So that is something which we'll take care of. Bhumi is asking, any courses that you recommend that might escalate our chances to get IB internship? That's a good question. I think you should take courses like financial modeling. That's a good course if you want to get internship in IB. Apart from that, you should try to just be as involved in finance as possible, in the sense that you should try to ensure that you are analyzing some stock, you are having a thesis on a company, you are telling this is a good investment opportunity. Once you get to know all these things, right, automatically your chances of getting an IB internship would be quite easy. So make sure you read more, you subscribe to a lot of newsletters in the finance domain, and you also enroll in courses like, let's say, financial modeling, or let's say advanced Excel, or let's say accounting analysis, evaluating businesses and all. These would be helpful for you in order to, let's say, get a role in IB. In fact, even like we are now partnering with some boutique investment banks at the back end for the career accelerator program. If you are interested, you can also apply here, and we'll also make sure that all the skill sets like finance domain, which are taught, of reading annual reports, financial modeling, how to prepare PPT and present to your bosses, all these things are taught by industry practitioners, if you see. So these people have already done it. So I want all of you to learn from them, so that you also get to know, once you get a job, you don't have that particular problem like me, that you won't have that problem of presenting to your managers and bosses at all. Let's take the next question by Kunal. Is this program only for CA freshers or experienced as well? Even experienced people can apply, of course. If, let's say, someone wants to switch to finance, if you're a chartered accountant and you want to switch to finance, if you have the time to do this, we are very, very welcoming to all of you. It's just that we want like-minded people, curious people, enthusiastic people. If you feel that this is going to be really helpful to get a career in finance, which definitely we are going to help, which we are going to make sure that is going to happen, that is something which I will request, which I will ensure, and that is something which you also will get to know once the batch starts. So even if you are a CA experienced person, feel free to apply. We'll take an interview, and if we feel that you are very passionate and enthusiastic, we'll be happy to have you in the batch as well. Let's take the next question. I want to go for M&A or securitization dealer. How can I go there? I'm not sure about securitization dealer, but M&A, if you want to go, I think M&A is IB only, investment banking. So what you can do is, like, you can just try to start reaching out to people. You tell them that you're interested in investment banking as a department or a domain, and that will help you, and just give them some thesis or tell them some background that, okay, why you're interested, why you're the right candidate. Send some thesis, give some stock analysis, tell some business, tell them that this business is a good business to invest in, and they'll be happy to at least give you an internship, is what my point is. Keshav is asking, hi Kushal sir, I have no ranks in any level. Is there any chance of selection in the program? As I mentioned, 100% there is a chance of selection, provided that we find you are curious, enthusiastic, and you have the drive to learn new things. And we feel that you will be able to cope up in the next 1.5 months, and then we'll be able to help you get a job as well. So the entire point here is that we want people who are, let's say, not able to get that brand and want that brand of finance, etc. And we want people who would want to ultimately get a finance job. So that is something which we want. And it's absolutely fine, even if you don't have any rank, even if you don't have any background in finance, even if you don't have, let's say, a big brand as such, or even if you have more number of attempts, that's absolutely fine. As I mentioned, I am never looking for any criteria as such. It's like-minded people to be a part of this 25-member batch. Let's take the next question. Utkarsh Mishra is asking, how do we learn financial modeling? Financial modeling, again, there are a lot of companies who have a lot of courses. In fact, we are also launching one financial modeling course by Sriram, who's a VP at Bain Capital. He's a chartered accountant, All India Rank 1, company secretary, All India Rank 1. That is going to be a pre-recorded course. We are going to launch it on in the first or second week of January. We are recording the content in the backend. And apart from that, we have already done one session of Intro to Financial Modeling by Sriram only. That is something which we are going to launch. Apart from that, if you also want to learn financial modeling, you can also enroll in our Career Accelerator program, where week 3 and week 4 is only going to happen on financial modeling itself, which is going to be taught by Prakhar Gupta live, 20 hours, 2 hours every day, Monday to Friday. So financial modeling is something which we're going to teach as a part of the curriculum. And with that, you also get access to other content as well. Let's take the next question. Should we go for MBA immediately after clearing CA or get some work experience before going for MBA? Harshit, that's a good question. I would genuinely advise you that if you go after having work experience of, let's say, even 6 months or 1 year, that is a good option, because when you go to MBA colleges, right, if you have a work experience, you will be able to add more value in the batch. Talk about IIM Ahmedabad. There are 400 people in a batch of IIM Ahmedabad. All of them would be having, let's say, 1 year, 2 years of work experience. Of course, there are freshers also, but majority of the batch would have work experience, and they would be having that edge or knowledge to contribute more. I would prefer that if you have 1 year of work ex or 2 years of work ex, that's an ideal candidature for an MBA, because you can add more value in the batch. You'll be able to get more insights. You'll be able to, let's say, share more knowledge with your peers, and you'll be able to perform well ultimately. And that will help you in order to get a good job after your IIM Ahmedabad is also over. So I would recommend work for 1 or 2 years and then go for an MBA, be it MBA in India or outside India, whatever the decision is. Let's take the next question. How to build an impressive Shriram by Shri, sorry, and is it necessary to have one? So of course, like 100%, it is very, very mandatory to have a LinkedIn profile. It's a must if you want to get a job, or maybe anyway, whatever you want to do. You should definitely have a LinkedIn profile, and that is going to help you in order to build your personal brand. No doubt that it's going to help you. Answering your second question, how to build an impressive LinkedIn profile? Firstly, have a very good professional profile picture, have a good cover image, make sure that your work experience, make sure that your achievements and volunteering section, all of them are filled in very properly, which we are going to teach you in the Career Accelerator program, also in the last session of building a personal brand on LinkedIn. Apart from that, make sure you also get some recommendations from your senior. In LinkedIn, there's a recommendations section where you can just get to know which people have recommended you. And these people, if they are senior enough, recruiters will get to know that, okay, if this person has recommended, it means there is something in this candidate. So that is something which you need to do. Apart from that, start creating content. Today also, we had a session with all the November 23 students in the morning at 9 a.m. And I was telling all of them that just start ensuring that you are creating content on LinkedIn. Start writing some of the other things. Start sharing, let's say your FR paper was difficult and you were not able to, let's say, have that confidence to give other papers, right? This is a good LinkedIn post topic idea. You can, let's say, write on how did you manage time in all those 8 papers in all those 16 days. That's a good LinkedIn post. You can write a LinkedIn post on what you are going to do for the next 2 months. If people want to do that, how they can enroll, how they can also do those things. Let's say you want to go to national conference, you want to organize events, you want to volunteer. A lot of these institutes like Bombay Chartered Accountant Society, Chamber of Tax Consultants, even ICAI, all of them are organizing a lot of events. Just be a part of these events, volunteer, organize, and you will get to know like what can be done in the next 2 months. Even like the main reason of launching the Career Accelerator program was because after CA finals exam, we are very clueless karna kya exactly. And that's one of the main reasons we launched this, so that we get to know that what we want to do ultimately after doing this program. Isme diverse experience hai. Like you get to know a role of management consultant, you get to know a role of investment banker, you get to know a role of, let's say, a portfolio management analyst, equity research wale ka role, you get to know a role of FP&A guy because advanced Excel bhi sikha rahe, and all of that. So that was the main reason of launching this as well. Himanshi Narang is asking, hi Kushal, what resources can we refer to if we want to get into consulting post qualification? That's a good question. One resource is the case interview book of these guys, Sankalp, what's his name? Case Interviews Cracked. The name of the book is Case Interviews Cracked by Saransh. He's an IIT Bombay alum, and he has written a very good book. That is very good book. Case in Point is a good book that you can purchase, or you can refer that. Victor Cheng, VICTORCHENG. Victor Cheng has a YouTube channel. There is a practice mock interview session, and there are a lot of different sessions also on that channel that will help you to get into management consulting. Case Interviews Cracked also has a YouTube channel, and this YouTube channel has a lot of mock interviews that will help you to get into management consulting. In fact, even on our KAGR's YouTube channel, we have one video on management consulting, mock interview by BCG and Bain Consultant, and it's a 20 minutes video. I'll ask Shabd from my team to just put down the link of that video, so you will get to know what exactly is needed in the management consulting mock interviews. So these are some of the resources I can think of. Let's take the next question. Can you throw some light on equity research report, like how these reports are analyzed at the end, and who are the users? Yeah, sure. So I'll tell you, equity research hota kya exactly. You go to, let's say, you go to Marcellus Investment Managers, okay? वहाँ पर you are an equity research analyst. You are required to analyze stocks. Let's say you are given a sector FMCG, fast moving consumer goods. So आपको HUL, ITC, Marico, Dabur, ये सारे stocks analyze करने हैं, and you have to read their annual reports, you have to read their investor presentations, you have to talk to promoters of these companies, understand what's going wrong, what's going right, and then you create a very detailed report stating your thesis, your sector, and then understanding, telling people that क्यों ये stock बढ़ेगा, अगर बढ़ेगा तो कितने percentage से बढ़ेगा, अगर कम होगा तो कितने percentage से कम होगा, and then that's a detailed 6-7 page report which you circulate to all the clients that you have. So equity research का काम ही यही होता है कि they are basically recommending some stocks to their clients. They are advisors, they are registered advisors, they can do that, and you have to like read a lot of annual reports, investor presentations, con call transcript in that role, and then you have to form a thesis. So staying updated with what's happening and all of that is something which is very, very important. Let's take the next question here by, there are a lot of questions. Let me take by Mayur. Mayur is asking, can we expect a career acceleration webinar on international taxation and transfer pricing from KAGR? As of now, not immediately, but going forward, let's say if you want, we should create a webinar on that and we should launch a course on that topic as well. I'll be happy to launch a course on taxation and on international taxation and transfer pricing as well, because opportunities are quite high in those roles as well. They don't fall into hardcore finance, core finance as such. But let's say if you are someone who's interested and you think that, okay, a lot of people would also be interested for something like this, you can let me know in the chat box, and we'll be more than happy to organize a webinar, or let's say even a proper course of 2 months or 3 months, and then ultimately get you a job in international taxation and transfer pricing. The entire model of KAGR now is going to be that we're going to launch courses for, let's say, 1.5 months, 3 months, or 6 months. And then at the end of the course, we're going to place these candidates. So all the courses will have a batch size of very less, 25, 30, or max 50 after a point in time. And I want all these people to finally get a job. That is the ambition or vision that I have. So we'll be launching courses on multiple topics, depending on the interest, depending on how many people are interested, depending on how much that topic is worth as of now. We'll be taking a call on the courses part. Let's take the next question. My God, there are 146 new messages. I'm so sorry, but let me take a few of them. Akshat Jain is asking, I want to go in content creation or a bit more knowledge of this side. Any guidance for the same? Yeah, of course. I think if you want to get into content creation, start by uploading content on Instagram. That is easiest to do. YouTube में 10 मिनट मेहनत का काम है. Instagram पे आप बना सकते हो. Instagram पे you can start off as easy as a recording from a mobile phone. अगर आपके पास iPhone भी होगा, you can record from iPhone. The audio video quality is very good. Like a lot of my friends have done their recorded their content using an iPhone only, and still they've got to 1 million, 2 million subscribers or followers as well. Start with an iPhone. Create content on a topic that you are passionate about. अगर आपको लगता है कि stock market के बारे में बनाना चाहिए, अगर आपको लगता है कि coaching education पे बनाना चाहिए, or if you feel that you should talk something on, let's say, marketing, just talk on those things and be very insightful and add value. One of my very close friends, Sarthak Ahuja, he has 1.3 million followers on Instagram, and he just creates content. He records it on his iPhone, by the way. His wife records his videos on iPhone. कुछ नहीं करते वो. They don't even spend on editing, they don't even spend on, let's say, reel cover designing, they don't even spend on hiring a manager. Everything is done by them end to end. They just record it whenever they want. Sarthak speaks flawlessly, and after the speech is done, like, he'll just ensure कि okay, caption में डाल दिया whatever he has spoken in the reel, and he'll design the reel cover in a manner कि वो story पे जाएगा, caption लिख देगा, he'll save that, and then that becomes his reel cover. He doesn't need to hire any designer also. So all I'm trying to say is कि you just need one mobile phone and very smart mind in order to become a content creator. बाकी कुछ भी जरूरत नहीं है. Let's take the next question here. Sejal is asking for a finance career, which domain to choose while doing articleship. Please tell Kushal sir, it will be helpful. So see, I'll tell you, articleship mein, if you can get into financial due diligence, valuations, or even international taxation, or let's say transfer pricing or something, that would also help you in order to get a finance role ultimately. I will tell you what happens is that you need to ensure that you are doing something which you are liking. आपके finance interviews में आपको वही पूछा जाएगा जो आपने काम किया है. ऐसा नहीं आपको finance job में ये पूछा जाएगा, okay, what is beta, what is like FCFE to what is like FCFE cash flow to from EBITDA, how do you calculate FCFE from EBITDA or PAT and all of that. Although they'll test the theoretical skills, but आपने जो किया articleship में, that is something which will be tested rigorously. So that is something which I would like to mention. So guys, I know there are a lot of questions here. I am sorry, but in the interest of time, I'll have to pause. But thank you so much for joining in. I hope I could add some value here. I know there are a lot of questions, but please feel free to email me or just send me a message on LinkedIn. And if you are interested and if you really want to upskill yourself for the next 1.5 months, please do apply for our Career Accelerator program. The link will be sent to you on the Zoom chat, even in the WhatsApp groups that have been created. You will also get the brochures which we have created. You can access the brochure as well. And if you have any questions about the Career Accelerator program, or you have any other doubts as well, feel free to reach out to my sales team as well. We'll just put down the contact as well. So Shab, just put down the number where people can reach out to, KAGR's WhatsApp number, and all your doubts will be resolved on the WhatsApp number, or maybe you can call as well. So thank you so much, guys. I think it was lovely talking to all of you. Special thanks to all the panelists as well. Of course, I'll send them a separate message. But I hope we could add some value to you in some manner as well. And we'll be in touch. And if there is anything, please just let us know as well. So Shab, just write down KAGR's WhatsApp number, please. I had already mentioned that. Just write down the official number of KAGR. That is something which we are going to use here. So thank you so much once again, guys. We'll be sending the details of the entire program to you. And if there is anything, if there is any feedback for us, please let us know. Also, if you do like the session, please do share it on LinkedIn. Do tag us as well. It will help us in order to just reach to more people as well, which is the most organic way. So thank you so much once again, guys. I'll just ask Shab to please drop down the KAGR's WhatsApp number. Can you please drop that in the chat box? Yeah, perfect. Because I think he's given that. I think we'll do it on the WhatsApp groups as well. That should be fine. Perfect, everyone. We'll also upload the recording of this session on our YouTube channel, and this will also be given to all of you. So don't worry if you have missed any part of the session as well. Thank you so much, guys. Ankit, so you can just take a screenshot, or we'll send the screenshot on the WhatsApp group and you can share it on LinkedIn. So that is something I'll ask Shab from my team to just share the screenshot on the WhatsApp group as well. Thanks everyone. Have a lovely Sunday and hope you had a productive Sunday morning as well. Thanks a lot. Bye.